Hi guys, welcome to our weekly podcast. Today we are going to discuss about are we living in the completed testament age and are we stuck in the completed testament age? Because we know that there is the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the complete testament. So are we as sanctuarians stuck in the complete testament age, and should we have to know what is beyond the complete testament is like the only begotten daughter theology? You know, what is it that is beyond it? Are we have we completed the complete testament, or when we complete the testament age, are we achieve perfection? What do you think has really taken place with the only begotten daughter theology, which states otherwise?
Well, as far as I understand, we're in the completed testament age now. What is the completed testament? The completed testament is true Father's words, was the divine principle in all his words from the Hak Ja Han book and all other speeches he gave.
The eight great textbooks.
The most precious words. Yeah, the 8 great textbooks. True Father said the most precious gift he has for humankind is his words that he left us. And then he said we should study them for tens of thousands of years. So these are the most precious things. Now I know that Damian Dunkley has been saying he's talking about people being stuck in the completed testament, and then he's supporting Hak Ja Han's false only begotten daughter theology. But actually, the only begotten, the completed testament is Father's words. In other words, he's saying they're stuck with Father's words. But we should be stuck with Father's words. We should be stuck with Father's words for tens of thousands of years and study them. He's supporting Hak Ja Han, who believes Father failed and he didn't fulfill his mission. But this is false. He can't. Father fulfilled his mission. His mission on earth was to restore the fall of Adam and Eve. And he did this. And Adam and Eve failed to establish God's lineage on earth. Therefore, you read passages like John 8:44, where Jesus said that the people were of their father the devil, indicating very clearly with Satan's lineage, with original sin. The true Father came, born without original sin, to remove the original sin in us through the blessing and establish God's lineage on earth. And he fulfilled this. And he established, declared Yunjin his heir and successor. And so he completed his mission on earth. That was his mission. And Yunjin, his heir and successor, is completing Father's mission on earth, representing true Father on earth.
Yeah, when you think of the thing, like you have the formation stage, then you have the growth stage, then you have the completion stage. Like in this sense, you have the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the completed testament. So in the completed testament is like you're in the realm of a direct dominion on God. So what is he saying? Like you have to go beyond the completed testament age. What is beyond the completed testament age? Is there anything beyond that? Oh, because the idea is to achieve individual perfection and then achieve perfection of a family, and then you enter the kingdom of heaven. In there is you start a totally different age, but you still we are still not come to that level as yet. We are not living in God's direct dominion at the moment.
Well, Hak Ja Han made a statement in 2019, and I'm sorry to say it's a totally nonsensical statement, but I'll give you the quote in the transcripts later, and also the video, if I can find it. Was he said that we should forget, not forget, but it says no use to study anymore the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the completed Testament age words. So the divine principle consists of the Old and New Testament, and the completed Testament is Father's words. So he says, you're wasting your time studying them. We have a busy schedule. We move on. Move on to where? What words? If we're wasting our time studying the Bible and Father's words, what should we study? Hak Ja Han's words? But Hak Ja Han's words are contradicting true Father completely. You see, God's words consist of the Old, New, and the Complete Testament words. And God's words don't expire. There's no expiry date in God's words. Jesus didn't denounce the Old Testament. Jesus is the one who said not one iota of the Old Testament of the law will pass away. And he quoted the Old Testament. He didn't contradict it. He said things like, the law says, do not commit murder. But I say, if you hate your brother, you commit murder. He gave a deeper understanding. He didn't say it's no longer valid. Also he said, the law says do not commit adultery. But I say, if you look at a woman lustfully, you commit adultery. And so on. So Jesus didn't contradict the law. No one has a right to change God's words, no matter when they're written or spoken. God's words are unchanging. And so, true Father, likewise, he did not denounce Jesus. In fact, the divine principle is an explanation of the Bible. It's the best possible explanation you have of the Bible, of the Old and New Testament. When you read the divine principle, you have explanation of the Old Testament, the principle of restoration, the fall, throughout, from beginning to the end. Now, and that's why Father left these words in the 8 great textbooks for us to study forever. Now, Hak Ja Han is totally contradicted. All these. She said, don't need to study them anymore.
It's crazy, no?
But actually, she's contradicted it. She even contradicted true Father directly. When she said Father was born with original sin, for example, that's a denial of his messiahship. In the divine principle, it states that the Saviour of humankind will be born as a sinless man. A sinless man means he's born without sin. Original sin of any other sin. And true Father is the Saviour of humankind. And then she claims herself to be born without original sin in her deposition, which is totally false. So she's not even consistent with Father. She's created something completely new that is not consistent with any other of Father's words. So all the prophets, central persons throughout history, throughout the Old Testament to New Testament up to Jesus, they're all consistent. They didn't contradict each other. And up to Father, Father didn't contradict any previous central persons. He did explain new things, like Jesus new things, but the new words are always consistent with the old, because it's the same God. But Hak Ja Han her words are contradicting all of God's words, true Father and the Bible.
Do you have any type of any speech that the Han Mother has ever spoken? Volumes of speeches. I can't think of any that she has spoken. Volumes of speeches that she has spoken. Father has been speaking all his life, teaching us. What is the Han Mother done? Have you know any of the volumes of speeches that she has given?
She never made her own speeches. When she went on tours, like in the 90s, when she was still true mother at the time, she gave the speeches were really Father's words, and she just spoke them. She was quite faithful at that time. We can show you also in the transcripts the two different words she's given. Now she's contradicting what she said earlier. So she never gave long speeches at all. She doesn't say much more now than, you're lucky you've met me and I'm the only begotten daughter, things like that. Not much else than that.
I mean, that's a big problem, no? I mean, that's actually claimed. I think the archangels are are totally dominating her, like the fall. They're totally controlling her, and they're trying to pop up a new theology. And I think it's completely a new religion when you think of it. It's a
Well, yeah.
it's a feminist idea, feminist concept that they're trying to promote, and especially she's appealing to a lot of feminists who think that men and women are equal. Yeah, men and women are equal in love, but there are things that men can do, and there are things that men cannot do that women can do, and there's vice versa. But then it's a matter of complementing each other. But anyway, the restoration has to occur with the male figures, and because Eve was the cause of the fall, not Adam, right?
Yeah.
So that is the issue that we have. That now it's totally like trying to reverse the situation and create like a pandemonium or kind of.
Yeah, it's very clear that the Messiah comes as a man.
Yeah.
That's why Jesus came as a man, because a man has to start the restoration process. If Jesus was able to fulfill his mission, I'm not saying he failed, but he was killed, but if he was able to go progress from being rejected, he would have looked for a woman who could restore as a new Eve. And he would have blessed her, and she would have the original sin removed, and she'd become true mother at that time. She's not perfect, but then he has to save the woman first. Then he can give the blessing to others.
Yeah, logically that is not true. Then if Jesus had succeeded, if the people of Israel had accepted Jesus, then the Han mother would have not been born. Unless the theologians say that Andrew Wilson, he says that God took the spirits of Adam and Eve and kept them aside.
Yeah,
And
made a
then
bizarre presentation one time.
and then when the time was right, then he put the spirits back again to the new Adam. So now we are waiting for the Eve to come. So now the Eve has come. So now he has now put the spirit into Hak Ja Han. So this is a kind of bizarre belief that I can think of. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But the Bible and divine principle both say that the Messiah comes as a man. Because a man has to start the restoration process. He has to find the woman who could be restored the new Eve. But it has to start with a man. But now Hak Ja Han is saying, no, that's not true. Because if by saying that Father was born with original sin, he's not capable. He wouldn't be capable of removing the original sin in others, because he has original sin. And he couldn't be the Saviour of humankind, as recorded in the Divine Principle, page 390 and page 56 and 72 in the exposition of Divine Principle. So that's all lies, according to Hak Ja Han. That's not true. So you either believe true Father and Divine Principle, or Hak Ja Han, because she's totally contradicted all of this. And if our words, as some claim, are a new revelation from God, why does it contradict God's words from the past? It's not consistent. And then it begs the question, why she wait 65 years to tell us now?
Exactly. That's a mystery.
What kept her? If this is true, people spoke the truth at the cost of their life. If this is true, it gives new life to other people. If her words are true, Father's words are lies. And then people follow Father's words, they're going to the spiritual world in hell. Why should she wait? Why should she let all these people go to hell? People, righteous people died for speaking out the truth. Why didn't Hak Ja Han do that? I think the reality is it's not the truth. Her words are false. And she created this Only Begotten Daughter theology, or maybe the corrupt leaders did, because they knew damn well that actually true Father declared Yunjin his heir and successor. And he knew that after father passed, that Yunjin would take over the leadership of the movement. And these corrupt leaders who enjoyed all their salaries and their positions, they feared it because Yunjin knew they're corrupted and he wouldn't tolerate them. So the last thing they wanted is Yunjin to take the leadership. So they created this Only Begotten Daughter theology to build up Hak Ja Han as the real Messiah and denigrate true father just be an ordinary person born with original sin who didn't even know who the Only Begotten Daughter is. And in that way, they promote Hak Ja Han, and Hak Ja Han would be the person to be father's heir, the successor. And then they can easily just kick out Yunjin then. And that's exactly what they did. This Only Begotten Daughter theology is a false teaching.
It's like wokeism, as that. Because also they changed the name of God to become Heavenly Parent. Just think of when Father passed away, how many things they changed? They changed the name of the Family Federation. They call them Heavenly Parent. What's it? Heavenly it's Heavenly Parent, Heavenly Community. HPHC. They've changed that. Then changed the name of God, and then they brought a new theology. We never heard this thing during Father was alive.
Yeah, and then they actually start building statues of herself, where people worshipping her, and then more recently she changed the way people prayed. Now they pray to Holy Mother Han.
That's another concept, Holy Mother Han.
But that's totally excluded True Father altogether. You see, so True Father totally sidelined, thrown out. In the same way, you see less and less of True Father's pictures. Yeah, of course, on True Father's birthday, you feel a giant picture of True Father appear. It's all a show. But the next day, that'll be put away. It's all a show. I'm sorry to say, but Hak Ja Han is a liar and a fraud. And she's incited to do this by the corrupt leaders who want to keep their positions and salaries. So you really need to think seriously about what you're doing. If you follow Hak Ja Han, you're actually joining her in a rebellion against True Father. And you'll be with her in the spiritual world, which is not a nice place to be. I recommend you to stop following her and follow the true heir and successor, Yunjin. Father declared only one person to be his heir and successor, and that's Yunjin. He didn't declare anybody else. So you need to follow Yunjin this time and receive his blessing. That's what Father said. Father said one time, no matter who the heir is, if he's very youthful, or even if he's a cripple or whatever, you need to receive the blessing from the heir. And that's Yunjin.
Yeah, because Hinjin is the only one who understood Father's heart, according to Reverend Suda's testimony. And also Father himself, there's only one line, there's one lineage. As his lineage, which starts from the male here. So I urge people to really consider, and not follow the blasphemous OBD theology, which when theologians are struggling to put the Bible into context with this only begotten daughter, or even the concept of heavenly parent. They're struggling to be even. They might come up with the idea of the wives of the patriarchs, like for the wives of lives of Abraham. They try to say Sarah, and then like Isaac's wife, Rebecca. Then also the other wives, Leah and Rachel. They try to portray them as figures of great faith. Yes, they had faith, but also they followed their husbands, and they did not uh, take advantage of when the husband passed away, that they could create their own theology, their own belief. This is what Hak Ja Han has done. She waited for the opportunity. She waited for the opportunity of the father pass away, and then she can portray herself as the only begotten daughter and make herself prominent in the movement and create total destruction. And that is why we who come from a Christian background can understand that this is not right. There's something wrong with that. It's not. It doesn't harmonize with our upbringing in our faith. So we urge you to think of it. And
There's another thing I would add as well. There's a lot of people who realise that Hak Ja Han's words are false. She's totally deviated from True Father. But they start their own groups, and I call them relativists, okay? And the reason I say that is because they know True Father declared Yonjim is heir and successor, but they don't want to follow him. So what they do is they create their own theologies to suit themselves. They don't want to follow Father's direction, so they excuse themselves, but they create all these different theologies around it. So they lightly criticize Hak Ja Han, but they're going back and forth. I won't mention their names, but you'll recognize them. But they're misleading you. True Father said, there's only one person to follow. And if you follow any other person, that person will be a heretic and destroy the whole movement. So Yonjim's a person to follow. These people often say, well, we don't know this. We just don't follow Father's words. That's incorrect. Father said you have to follow the hair. Father said the lineage is the most important thing, more important than love or life, because the lineage. See, Father accomplished what Jesus couldn't do, and that was establish a lineage on earth. Someone he can on earth who he can connect with. It doesn't mean just a physical descendant. It's someone who's connected with him in heart. And Yonjim is that first one. And after Yonjim, there'll always be someone representing True Father on the earth.
I mean, many people try to give the example of Father said that conscience. Conscience is much more bigger than God. Conscience is much more bigger. But then when you think of what is conscience, your conscience can be anything. If you're not attuned with the Messiah, if you're not attuned with God, then your conscience can go anywhere.
Yeah, conscience is only what you believe to be true. But that's the reason, because as fallen people, our conscience can't be totally relied upon. So that's the reason why the Messiah came in the first place.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why Father is leaving us a heir and successor. And as I was saying, there'll always be someone representing him on the earth. That's the most important thing, to follow the central person. He's here at that particular age. So these people are telling you, they're talking about Father this and the other, and always have something to say. If they're not following Yonjanim, they're misleading you.
I think conscience is relative in that sense, because you can have different conscience. I mean, if you're praying and if you're connected to Father, you're connected to the Holy Spirit, and then your conscience is very strong, very very high, a high level of conscience. But if you are a very low level conscience, then of course your conscience. So you can't say that conscience is the right. Conscience will guide you in whatever you do. No, only when you follow the words, and become one with the word, then you follow your conscience. Then your conscience is strong, and then you cannot go astray. But if you're on a low level conscience, like people who follow the Han Mother as well, they have a conscience, but the conscience is not true.
Yeah.
It's really, but if they follow Father, I mean, just imagine what Father said, Father's words, and the logic, but they still follow. They think that they are following Father. What does their conscience say? That means they have a very relative conscience.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not absolute conscience. It's not really absolutely following the will of God, the will of the Father. So I think you've got to pray about it actually. You've got to pray about it and build up your conscience.
If the conscience was enough, there'd be no need for Messiah come in the first place.
Yeah.
Conscience, of course we have a conscience, and we can decide to follow the conscience or not. I think all of us have done things we know we shouldn't have done sometime in our life. So our conscience makes us feel bad. So normally we follow our conscience. But the conscience in the first place, as you were saying, Dave, It's based on our level of understanding, and that we don't have perfect understanding. So therefore, we need the Messiah, Father's words, and so on. But particularly the central person. Because if you studied Father's words for years, generation after generation, then we're bound to deviate. We're bound to deviate. So how to avoid that? Father gave the answer. He have a central person on the earth. Someone directly he worked through, and that's his heir and successor. After Yunjim dies, it will be Sinjun, after his son, and his son after that.
Yeah, we know that the heir and successor will not be perfect. He will have his faults, but the idea we can understand that God's providence has to be with lineage, and we can also in that way, if the heir and successor is going astray, we can know from Father's words and Father's teaching that he's going astray, and also there will be a collective conscience, not only your conscience but a collective conscience. Tell you that that the heir and successor going astray, and then something will get them back, because there's a God, there's a God above that will guide you.
Well, I don't think the heir and successor can go astray because he's directly connected with a true Father. See, Jesus couldn't have a heir successor, sadly. That's why Christianity followed the disciples, and they did a great job. I can't speak against them, but we did have a heir, so then Christianity developed into many different denominations. And it took a long course. Thankfully, the faithful Christians gave us the Bible, which is God's words. But Christianity had a long course because Jesus didn't have a heir on the earth.
And also there were heretics as well at that time, first century.
Yeah.
Created the heretics. They created many Bibles at that time. And they had to canonize the Bibles to make this is the clear word, the clear version of God. Yeah. Otherwise, there would have been no Christianity. And even canonizing the Bible, there are so many denominations now. All this time, and in that time, a Father had come to establish his lineage and establish the kingdom of heaven on earth. And really, we are living in the kingdom of heaven on earth. People, you don't see it now. It's like midnight. Because from midnight, you don't know when the day will dawn. Like it will only by 12 o'clock in 12 midnight. It's like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. It's still dark and you look out. But the time will come when you see when the sun will rise, that the kingdom of heaven will come. So it's time that you all wake up, people who will listen to this podcast and who will pray about it and understand that the kingdom of heaven is here, and I have to do our responsibility. Thank you very much for listening, and we hope you had some type of enlightenment for this week's podcast, and we hope that you have a great week ahead, and God bless you all, and God bless your families.
God bless you.
Yeah.